So, hello again, folks. And since I was in Orillia with my mom for a dialysis run, I decided to check out Gilbert Guitars again today. So, the video has been slowed down to 2 times, and I've put a mild anti-shake on it as well in the process. So, I'm going to try to do a commentating without hopefully not saying too much or actually speed up to things. So let's start at the familiar place, the right side of the store from the entranceway, and we can see Jeff has a nice selection of some newer instruments at this end of the guitar rack, and some quite interesting ones as we slowly pan up here to see. Of note, this Telecaster and this Stratocaster. And you can see the pricing. $14.29 Canadian, and that almost looks like an American special Stratocaster. Now again, I'm trying to bring the cell phone in closer to get some nicer views of the grains on these instruments and details. And so with this one, I thought it was a really, really sharp looking kind of tint and see-through finish on it. Again, I am a fan of the large headstocks. Now we go over to this interesting telly, which definitely must have been a limited run. Gold hardware, thin line style pickguard, and of note the matte flat black. Again, we have MIM Player Series, single, 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 humbucker, single, single. Again, right up there in the price difference or price cost. And some cheaper Eppies. Has some Marshall DSL 40s, which I didn't get to check out. I didn't play anything while I was here today. It was just mainly looking to see what Jeff had in stock, and I also talked with Jeff and his wife who run the store. So, limited edition Player Jazzmaster, double cut, alternate reality. Again, the other alternate reality Telestrat. Here's the interesting one that he has sitting here. That's right, an Angus Young signature Gretsch 3500. Yeesh. And down here again we have the Jazzmaster Telly from the alternate reality series. He's sold a few since I was last in here. And here we are taking a closer zoomed up look on the Angus Young signature model. I must admit, it definitely was interesting to see it up close and to see all the wood taking it and so forth. So now we are actually going to look at some interesting Gibsons. When talking with Jeff, these are used, a cherry brown and a warm brown. The Studios. These are new instruments here. A Gretsch. And a Epiphone for $369. It's kind of interesting to see some of the prices here today as I went over stuff. So it's interesting that used Les Paul Studios are going for about around 1,000 Canadian in a retail market. Here's the interesting guitars though so far. A Godin, I believe it's a Kingpin, $13.99 used, and the Les Paul standards that we see here. When I was talking with Jeff, he said they're 2017s and 2018s that you end up seeing here. More specifically, this interesting red-toned Les Paul, which, as he understood, is called a blood orange red burst. But I was like totally taken away with the finish on it. It's just such an interesting finish that goes from like a deep red, deep dark red into almost like a very, very faint red. This is a 2017 model. So these aren't even 2019. And again, these I believe are some 2018s as well. I'm assuming that this is a Honeyburst that we see here on the right. And as you can see, they're all about 3,100 Canadian. And they have financing available here as well too. This one is of course, Cherry Burst, not necessarily the Clown Burst as some folks like to call them, but it's more like a true Cherry Burst. And this one he had before when I was last in with my bud. Still a sharp looking guitar for a Gibson Les Paul, and figuring that. And here on the right, I believe we have again another like honey burst, caramel burst kind of thing. I'm not 100% sure. But again, higher price point than the other ones. I'm not exactly sure. Now we have here, these I could be 2019s. Especially the one on the left. But the first one there on the right is a gold top traditional or tribute. And that is a Les Paul Special there. Les Paul Special that you see there with the two P90s is going, there's a price tag on that for $1,600. Again, if you're in the area, I know not a lot of yous are, but Jeff runs a really good, honest business, and if anyone can ever get down to Orillia to snag up some of his stuff, go help him out. He does have some pretty decent selection. So again, we got some SG specials. Another Gretsch. The next section here is a few Gretches, I believe. I really like the blue finish on that one Gretsch that you see there. The treaded Fender GT200 and GT40. And again, the little voxes. Again, some of these Gretches that Jeff has actually in stock here are some like really sharp ones. And some of the price points on some of them are actually pretty reasonable. Like that red one there, $739. These kind of nice, kind of emeraldy, mint green or lightish kind of shaded green ones in like $1,100–$1,200 range. Really, really nice finishes in that Gretsch kind of style / vein. When I was looking over these, I was kind of shocked again at some of the pricing on these. And you know, everybody is like, you know, I gotta get a Gretsch, or you know, there's a lot of people that desire them, but like this gold, whatever this gold one is, like $599. That's crazy. $1,000 for the reddish one. Yeah. The other one behind it, $7. Like, I mean, we're talking instruments that are going anywhere between $600 and $1,200 Canadian for them, and you know, varying styles, colors. You know, it's amazing. Same thing as this one here. This one's kind of an oddball one for a Gretsch, which is a flat, it looks like a burgundy, or matte burgundy, I should say. And again, $720 Canadian. The one behind it, $679. This one's a limited color run thing, and of course, so that's like $1,100. And again, more amps and more so. Again, never did plug into that. This guitar here is actually the Epiphone Tribute, Vintage Tribute Series Special. And again, as we zoom in here, this is actually one of the new Boss Next Tone amps. To me, I was actually surprised at how small this thing is. Again, didn't turn it on to hear it or play through it or anything, but I'd say it's impressive the quality it is. Some other used amps, GT40, Fender bass breaker. And again, we carry up two Gretches. Oh, look at that, Shane. A lefty Gretsch. There's again, like I said, the pricing on some of these things, like, that blows me away. That nice silver, like, shiny gloss silver Gretsch there. $600. Like, wow. Like, I find that crazy. That nice looking of a guitar with the inlays. I know Gretches aren't everyone's style, but like when you talk about Gretsch, you know, you kind of are blown away with like some of the prices. Because I mean, when I see a lot of Gretches, they're all like usually double the price. But to think you can actually get a new off the shelf kind of unique one for like even that cheap is like crazy. Here is some of his new / used stock that is out of focus. Again, you'll have to excuse me. Oh, there we go. The Strat on the very right there. I'm not 100% sure the model, but I believe it's a USA Pro. We see some Jackson stuff. Mini or micro Jackson. Like a dinky. And at the time, I notice, oh, he's got some other stuff over here. Some used, some new. Of note here on the left, it's one of the epi dots with the ocean burst color, which actually is really nice looking in person. That there is one of the new Squier Deluxe Jazz Masters. The two guitars here are the Squier Standard Stratocasters, I believe. That orange was actually amazing looking in person. Here is one of the Classic Vibes. I'm not sure which model of the Classic Vibes it is. Going based on the color, I'd have to assume it's a Classic Vibe 50s. Also, here's one of the rare black and silver with mirrored pickguard standard Stratocasters from Squier, which have great reviews. And again, this thing here, I was definitely kind of shocked to see sitting up here and available. It is a used Epi Zach Wild, which had a price of, I think, about 700 Canadian. Now, this amp was here before, but in a different position. It is a 1960 or 1956 Gibson amp. Now we're going back over to the basses. Hey, look, it's a lefty bass for Shane, or Jamal, or anyone else who's a lefty that wanted to play bass. I thought that color and look was pretty decent. Well, actually, it's a really good price for a Squier, $479. So that's probably one of the new vintage modified 70s, probably. It looks sharp. Again, when you're looking at the Squier stuff, it's, mind-blowing at how good it is. Some Fender Rumble amps, of course, underneath. Again, more Squier basses, and I think on the left we start going into the actual Fender basses. I really like that. I think it's a Lake Placid blue, and it's actually a PJ bass. Another precision bass and a natural finish, black binding. That looks pretty sharp as well too. Another PJ bass behind that. And that's probably a Players series. Same thing as the one in the middle in the kind of banana yellow color. Probably a Players series jazz bass for 880 Canadian. Not bad. Now we're cutting over to the shaky view of, again, all he has for acoustics and ukes, which I don't bother with too much because it's pretty much all the same stuff. Now, though, we'll go over here to the goodies. There's some violins. And up here is two quite interesting ones. What you see there is two limited edition Gretches that there was only 100 done. Jeff was able to snag 3 out of the 5 that exist in Canada. There next to them is a rare Gibson ES Les Paul 3600. with an interesting washed out kind of surface look. Some other interesting guitars, some Gretches, Gretsch White Falcon, I believe that is. I didn't think this footage was that wobbly, so again, sorry about that, but again, shaky hand while trying to move. There we have a high-end, looks like J200 Gibson limited edition and limited edition Hummingbird, which looked sharp, and a three-tone Sunburst ES335, which was $34.99, $3,499. And there we have one of the new Meteora HHs in, I believe, the Lake Placid Blue, which he has listed for 1,299 Canadian. Again, you can see the Hummingbird off to the right a little bit better. And down here, these are some repairs, but the one thing of notice is the Fender labeled guitar is a limited edition Bass 6, which hardly ever see. So, thanks again, Jeff Gilbert, for allowing me to do this. And before I left, I got myself some guitar condoms. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, folks, and I will catch you later. Bye for now.